Hey everyone, I am back again. I'm trying something new today, new in two ways. First, I am going to try and paint on a circle. I have never done this before. I mean, the only thing I've painted on has either been squares or rectangles. I just think that, I don't know, I've seen some people who had painted on the round surfaces, and I just really thought it was very cool looking. And I'd been thinking about just cutting out a circle out of either Yupo or some craft plastic and trying that. But then when I was messing around on Amazon one day, I ran across this, which I hope you all can see it. And this is how little I know about this. I don't know if you're supposed to say NARA or NARA, or, well, we'll just call it NARA for simplicity right now. I just ran across this and it was in a circle and thought, oh, well, I'll give that a try. I cannot remember how much it cost. When I get ready to do the voiceover for this video, I will go back. I'll find the link to it on Amazon and put it in the description box for the video in case any of you wanted to try it. I can't remember the cost. This was 10 sheets of 8-inch round paper. Seems like it was a little higher than the craft plastic cost-wise, but a little lower than Yupo. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And as I'm doing the voiceover, you know, I'll let you all know what I thought about it. I am going to be using today my Tim Holtz Ranger inks, like always. Turquoise, salmon, and slate. And my Piñata by Jacquard brass color in my little needle nose applicator bottle here. And 91% alcohol. I keep trying to use up the 91% that I have so I can switch back to the 99. It's been rather rainy and humid here lately, so I'm having a little bit of trouble with water beading, and going back to the 99% I think will help quite a bit with that. So, alright, well, let's hope this goes good, and I will be back with you guys shortly. All right, so even though this is the very beginning for you all, I am done on my end with the painting. I was really happy with this NARA or NARA or NARA, whatever this paper is that I use today. It is a synthetic paper. It's, I mean, very, very similar in feel to the craft plastic. I did really like using it. I felt like it worked just as good as anything that I've used. So I'm sure I will probably be giving this another try, especially being as I have 10 sheets of it right now. Well, 9. 9 now. It was a little different for me working on a round substrate. I just haven't tried that at all, so it felt just the tiniest bit awkward at times. I'm sorry, I got quiet here for a minute. I'm listening. It's after bedtime at our house, and I hear footsteps upstairs. I'm just wondering if I'm going to get snuck in on in a minute. Before I forget, let me thank you all, those of you who are sending me well wishes, because I was sick last week. I feel much better, and I truly appreciate it. It really meant a lot to me. People sending me their well wishes, hoping that I was feeling better. Still got a little lingering cough, but hopefully that'll go away soon. Really not sure what I had. It was just everyone in the house ended up with it. Just some really nasty, extremely bad upper respiratory infections going on. let's see, what can I tell you? I kind of went through here at the beginning and sort of laid out my shape that I wanted before I started spreading the ink out. I just, since I had not, especially since I had not worked on round before, I just wanted to make sure that I kind of followed the trail that I was sort of wanting to do and get that kind of laid out a little bit from the beginning. And I also decided that I would only put down the turquoise and slate to start with, and then go back, and as I was kind of wisping it out, would add the salmon in, just sort of in between the turquoise and slate here and there as I was working it out. I did go ahead and put, as you can see right here, I did go ahead and put just one drop of the Piñata brass in each of these colors, in each of the turquoise and slate spots that I did. When I went back with the salmon, I did not add any brass to it, partly because it's just, I didn't want it to be overwhelmed with it, but also, also because the lighter colors, it just kind of, it can look kind of muddy sometimes on your paper if you're not looking at it at an angle where you can see the shimmer. Then it just looks like weird, muddy, dirty spots under your inks. So I try to be really sparing with it if I'm working with lighter colors. To me, the metallics tend to look a little bit better when you're working with darker colors. One of the things I had wanted to remind you all of, is even when you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling like you just can't get it, just don't quit. Don't give up. I have actually, some of you know this, but a lot of you, my newer subscribers, I know don't. But I have only been doing this since around the 1st of April of this year, of 2019, when I'm making this video. So let's see, what is it now? The December 10th or something. So about 9 months or so that I've been doing this. And I'm certainly no master at it. There are so many people out there that do so much better than I do. And I would love to see some tutorials by them, but the people that I would like to see the tutorials by, I think just they may not have time to really do tutorials. I do see some videos of them just painting, very quickly. They're super speed paintings, and I can't really tell exactly what they're doing, because I still feel like a learner myself. Although I think with any art, you're always learning. There's always new things to learn and new things to try and experiment yourself and figure out, you'll get to the point probably where everything you see becomes a surface that you wonder if you could paint on, or what that might look like if you painted on it, or so it's a lot of fun. So, but don't be too harsh with me. Don't forget that I am not a professional at this. I'm still fairly new to this myself. This is not something that I've just been doing for years now. Just had joined a couple of groups on Facebook that dealt with alcohol ink, and one with wispy alcohol ink in particular. And after, lurking in the group for a while and watching all the videos I could find, I finally got brave enough to try it. And after, a few times of posting pictures on the Facebook groups, I had so many people that were asking me what my technique was and how I did this. I was just completely overwhelmed with trying to answer the questions. I just didn't have time to do it. I felt like it was becoming a full-time job just trying to keep up with answering, because these are not short answers and it's really difficult to put it into words a lot of times. And a lot of people were asking me if I had videos that they could watch of how I did it. So that was how this YouTube channel was born, through me trying to partially save my sanity because I couldn't figure out how to answer everybody, and the long explanations that were needed, I just didn't really have the time for. So I thought, well, this will be better. People will understand if they can actually see it. And I had been a little frustrated when I wanted to learn this with the lack of actual tutorials that were out there where it was kind of real time. And although my first few videos I did speed up just a little bit, didn't really realize how much that was going to affect the viewing of it by speeding it up just a little bit. So that's the reason now that my videos tend to be longer. I just leave them in real time. I have actually not posted some videos that I've done because the painting ended up taking me quite a long time to do, and I didn't figure anyone wanted to see a 2-hour video of this. So I try to only post the ones that don't take me, just a ridiculously long amount of time to do. Excuse me. I know a lot of people are probably a lot faster at it than I am. I tend to just go slowly and carefully most of the time. Maybe I should just kind of wing it. Might come up with something really awesome. So anyway, just, bear with me. Remember, if you see things that I do that you think, oh, you shouldn't do that, well, feel free to let me know, because, I'm still fairly new at this myself. And I just wanted to be able to help other people like me who, I might be a little bit farther along than where some of you are, and wanted to give you guys, you ladies and gentlemen, a chance to kind of see in a little bit more detail what goes into painting something like this and what it is that I use. And there are some tutorials out there where people actually explain to you what they're doing. And I could probably do more of that, and I probably should, but I feel like you all will get tired very quickly of hearing me say the same things over and over in these videos. Although I try to remember to hit some of the important notes, like keeping your air source very close to your paper. Not necessarily close to the alcohol and the ink, but close to the paper. Otherwise, it just kind of blows everywhere in those little fingers that just run out all over the place. One of my struggles with this one was I have never worked on a surface this small before. The smallest thing I have ever worked on is 9 by 12. So to work on an 8-inch round piece it felt a little tricky and awkward to me. I felt like it was so tiny. I was having to be really careful just to put down one little drop of ink, because I didn't want, just like 3 or 4 big blobs of color on this little tiny surface that I was working on. It was a little different for me. So, but I was pretty happy with the outcome. I feel like I've been in kind of a creative slump lately, which was one reason for trying this. Part of it, I think, just has to do with the fact that I had been sick, and we had our daughter and son-in-law and grandson for Thanksgiving, and they were here for 11 days, and I didn't didn't paint while they were here. I had the one video I posted during that time, I did right before they came so that I would have one ready and could post it at some point while they were here. So it's, I don't know, I kind of have had a hard time getting back into it. My brain had gotten a little, I don't know, overwhelmed with other details of life that I needed to get caught up on and everything else. So I have done a couple of paintings since, that I haven't made videos of. And I just have not been happy with them. They were just bleh, kind of meh, so. Not awful, but not great. And it was getting kind of frustrating to me. So I was pretty happy to see this one come out with something I was somewhat satisfied with. Oh, it didn't feel like a total fraud in putting videos on YouTube when I can't get anything to turn out right. You all just wouldn't believe how many times I feel that way. So you see, I worked back towards a center line. I wanted to keep a line in there. And you see, I just kind of skipped here and there with the salmon color. I didn't want to overwhelm the painting with it. I just wanted it to sort of complement the turquoise and slate colors in there, just to add a little bit more to it. But I had to be really careful. I was ending up with my slate, I think it was the slate, all of it. I had to be really careful with that salmon because it was, when it would blend with the other colors, I was ending up with a little browner shade than what I had wanted. Excuse me. Although I was able to make it work. It ended up still looking good. It just wasn't exactly what I had planned on when I started, but it still ended up working pretty decently. But you'll see, I kept turning the paper around so that I was coming at from, working on one side just in maybe 1 to 2 spots, and then I would turn it around and work on the other side in 1 to 2 spots. You saw my paper flutter there. That was the one issue that I had with this, and that's just because it was such a small surface. My air was so close to the edge of the paper all the time that it kept catching underneath it and kind of fluttering. There was a time or two that it just almost blew it away. Had to snag it before it completely blew out of the frame. So that is something that if you are not used to working with a smaller surface like this, that can be a little bit tricky to keep hold of your paper and not let it blow away. I did this one pretty much exactly the same way that I do all of them. I just did this one, in a line, which you all have seen me do before, those of you who've seen my videos before. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, then welcome. I'm really glad you decided to stop in and check one out. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, and would love it if you'd consider subscribing to my channel. I will hopefully be able to get a video up. I'd like to try and get them up once a week, but I don't want to promise you all that. I know that some of you who've been watching for a while, you know that I do homeschool 2 of our granddaughters who we're raising. And so life just gets a little busy sometimes. And even when I have time to paint, I don't have the extra, hour or so that it takes me to go back and kind of do the voiceovers and editing and things that it takes to get these ready for YouTube. So somewhere between once a week to once every 2 weeks, somewhere in between there. I am trying not to go longer than a couple of weeks in between being able to post one. With the holiday season coming up, hopefully it's not going to kind of get in my way. Although this year, with us making our big sudden move from North Carolina to the state of Washington, we are kind of sad. We're not going to get to spend Christmas with the rest of our... there went my paper. Not going to get to spend Christmas with the rest of our family like we usually do. It will just be the 4 of us this year, and that will be the first time ever. We usually have a very big family Christmas at our house with our grown kids and their significant others at our house with us early Christmas morning. And Santa Claus comes for everybody that comes to our house. Santa still fills up a stocking for our 27 and 30-year-old kids. So it is going to be a little challenging getting through the holidays this year. Maybe I'll try to paint extra to keep my mind off of not being with the rest of our family, who we really miss quite a bit. We ended up moving suddenly because of my husband's job. We were not planning on moving. It just came up all of a sudden, and we had, for those of you who didn't know, haven't heard the story, we had 1 month were in Washington because he was working out here just temporarily, and ended up having 1 month to go home to North Carolina and get our house there closed up and come back to Washington for him to start back out here for at least the next couple of years. So that was a major challenge for us this year. It's been kind of a crazy year. It's been busy. A whole lot going on. A lot of changes to have to get used to. So, but we like it here, and we do have some people that we know out here, some friends that we have met over the course of being out here quite a bit over the last few years. He had just been traveling back and forth between North Carolina and Washington and another state or two, but for now, this is home base for us. So anybody that happens to be in the Tri-City areas, give me a holler and let me know. We'll get together and paint. We'll start us our own little paint group or something. I mean, you can kind of see I'm trying really hard not to overwork this, just because of the way these colors will just sort of turn to mud if you put them together too much. I wanted to make sure I kept some of that salmon color showing. I didn't want it to all just blend into brown, so I was trying to be really, really careful with that. And one thing I struggled with on this one was the edges, because I wanted to bring it all the way out to the very edge of the paper. I haven't decided what I want to do with this. I'm thinking about seeing if I can find a piece of 8-inch round wood or something to mount this on, instead of getting some round mat for it, which I just think would look, I don't know. I don't know if I would even like it, if it's even possible without getting a special order one made. So I don't know. Haven't decided, but I did want to come all the way to the edges with it. And I was having a really, really difficult time, because if you've seen my videos before, I never bring mine to the very edge. They're always more centered in the paper. So it was a little tricky, because it kept wanting to run around the edge of the circle when I got over there to the very edge. Plus, it was very difficult to not have the paper blow up as I was working right on the edge there. So you can kind of see when I start trying to catch some of that ink that's running, most of the air just blew up under the paper and was kind of a little struggle for me. I had to work the edges just a little more than I really wanted to. So, but all in all, like I said before, I was really happy with this NARA brand paper. I'm probably going to check out their website and see what other sizes and possibly shapes and whatever they have. If we were still in North Carolina, I could get my husband to cut me a piece of wood, but he doesn't have all of his fun little woodworking tools that he likes to play with. He doesn't have out here. He left all of that stuff in North Carolina because we're keeping our house there. So everything like that is still there. Sorry, I did get out of frame there for a minute. I had tried to zoom in close on this one so that you all could see fairly good what I was doing. And it was a little harder for me to stay in frame. Next time I think I probably will try not to zoom up quite so close. I just thought maybe you'd be able to see a little bit better how I was manipulating the ink if I had zoomed in a little bit closer. And you see how that was running up the edge right there. It just, each side I went to, I was having that problem. Would run from one side to the other, and then I'd go back to the other side, and it would just run the other way a little too far. And to all of you who are already subscribed to my channel and have been watching me and supporting me for so long now, or since, May? I think I started this channel in May. I've had my YouTube channel just watching videos for a few years, but started making videos, I think it was in May of this year. So I really appreciate you all. I really, really do. It just means the world to me to hear all your lovely compliments and even pieces that I'm just really not happy with, that you all have some of the nicest things to say about it, and I really appreciate it. I will, keep on doing this for as long as I can, for as long as you all are interested in watching. I hope that they are helping you and that you're learning some things from it along the way. That was the whole point of this for me, was just to try to help you all out as much as I possibly could on your own journey to learn this particular style of alcohol ink art. And this in here, this was one of those cases where I probably could have and should have just left it alone. It was one of those times when there was just one little thing that was really bugging me that I went back in to try to fix, and then ended up having to, fix it and fix it and fix it, and it got blended a little more than what I wanted it to in there. But what you see, I had to go back and add a little bit more salmon because it got to looking all brown in there to me. And one of the things that I had read, somebody had posted on one of the Facebook groups, was, when you're happy with everything except one thing on your painting, leave it alone. Because that's when you're going to mess it up. If you go back in and try and fix that one last thing, you're probably making a mistake trying to fix it. And that actually does tend to be the case for me. I find that no one but me sees most of the things that I see as problems when I show it to other people.
they don't see it. So, and I'm sure it's going to be the same way with your artwork as well. The other people are not going to see what you see. Because they couldn't see what was in your head that you were going for anyway. So they're not going to be as nitpicky as you are about what your art turned out like. That's one of these cases where I need to practice what I preach, because I am terrible to want to go back and keep messing and messing over some little thing. So this, I think, is where I kind of wrapped it up right here. I kind of will show you guys in just a second where you can kind of see the brass shimmering in it to give it that little bit of shine as you shift directions. If it's hanging on a wall or something like that, you'll be able to see where the brass really jumps out when the light hits it from an angle. Well, I hope that you all really enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing this one, and I will try to be back with you all just as soon as I can. Leave me some comments, some questions if you have them, and I will do my best to answer them. I never mind trying to answer your questions. I may point you back toward a previous video if it's going to be too long of an answer, but I will definitely be back soon. Thank you all once again.